Islamic eschatology is by far the most important branch of Islamic knowledge now. Because without Islamic eschatology, you cannot understand the world today. No, you cannot. And if you do not understand the world today, then whatever be the piety in your heart, whatever be the efforts that you're making, you're just like a piece of wood in the ocean, and the waves will take you where they want. Because you don't know where you're going. But when you study Islamic eschatology, and when Allah blesses you with the knowledge, then you understand the reality of the world today. You will understand, for example, why is it that a universal political dictatorship is descending upon all of mankind? Despite democracy, a universal economic dictatorship is descending upon all of mankind. Why is this happening? Islamic eschatology will tell you why. And when you understand the reality of the world today, then you can follow the Sunnah of Nabi Muhammad. Because there is a part of his Sunnah which can be described as the strategic Sunnah, meaning how to respond to your strategic environment in such a way that you eventually succeed. Before we proceed with the topic, there is a warning in the Quran to those who scoff at this topic, this subject. Akhir zaman. They laugh at it. They scorn the subject. Usually university graduates. Usually the secularized mind. So they don't really believe in the akhirah. Akhir zaman. So Allah says in Surah Al-Isra, and I quoted this verse before for you, and incidentally, when I was a student, and my teacher was teaching and lecturing, I always had a notebook, and I was always taking notes. And when the lecture was over, I go back to my room, and I write out the notes. Anytime he quoted the Quran, I go back to my room, search, find the verse of the Quran. But I don't see the notebooks. Shaitan will cause you to forget this lecture by tomorrow's revision. So you need to record it. The verse is in Surah Al-Isra, which is also known as Surah Al-Bani Israel, Surah number 17. And Allah says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. Sitr is the cover. Sitr. And hijab is that which bars you. So this is double cover. When you recite the Quran, when you turn to the Quran for guidance, then we place between you and those who scoff at Akhirul Zaman, those who look on this subject with disdain. They don't really have any faith in Akhirul Zaman. They are too secularized. So we place between you and them a hijab, which is mastur, covered. So they will never be able to penetrate the Quran. And only the Quran can explain the world today. Believe you me. Only the Quran can explain the world today. So, make sure that the heart is in the right place, that the heart is turned to Allah, and you are humble before Allah, with faith in the heart in Akhirul Zaman, and then proceed to study the subject. Some companions were sitting talking amongst themselves. And he, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, came and asked, what are you talking about? And they said, we are talking about the subject of alamatul sa'ah, the signs of the last day, which is Akhirul Zaman. And he said in the hadith, it is in Sahih Bukhari, it is in Sahih Muslim, the last day would not come until, and then he mentioned the 10 signs. You're lucky I don't have time to question you. You're really lucky. I don't have time to question you. He mentioned 10 signs. Okay? But these 10 have not been given in the order in which they will occur. Number 1, Dajjal, Al-Masih Dajjal. There is a chapter in this book on Dajjal. And I am now writing my new book on Dajjal, Al-Masih Dajjal. Number 2, Gog and Magog. Praise be to Allah who helped me to finish this book. This is the only book in the market on Gog and Magog. I have read some of what is in the market on Gog and Magog. It seems to me as though they should be sent to Disneyland. Scholarly work on Gog and Magog, if I can find it. But alhamdulillah, this book was published. It's my last book. Number 3, the return of the son of Mary. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon them both. Number 4, Dukhan, smoke. My view, and whenever I give my view, we say Allah knows best. We probably don't have more than about 20-25 years left before Dukhan. And when that Dukhan comes, most of mankind will die. Most of mankind will die. Number 5, Dabbatul Ard, a creature or beast of the Ard. Ard has 2 meanings. Ard could mean, 3. Ard could mean the material universe. Ard can mean the earth. And Ard usually in the Quran refers to Al-Ardul Muqaddasa, the Holy Land. So this is a beast of the earth. Which earth? My opinion, Ardul Muqaddasa. Number 6, that the sun would rise from the west. This is pigeon? Pigeon? It rises from the east in Pacific time. Which direction? East. Number 6, the sun will rise from the west. Number 7, 8, and 9. 3, khusuf, plural of khas, shaking of the earth, accompanied by sinking of the earth. 1 in the east, 1 in the west, and the third one in Arabia. And number 10, a fire which will come out of Yemen and drive people to the place of assembly of Azhar. These are the 10. Today's lecture, tonight's lecture, is on one of the 10. The subject is located in the Quran, in Suratul Fil. But there is a story of how it came down. And that story must be told. That the Arabs did not know how to assess the faith of one amongst them. They had such a high regard for him that they called him Al-Amin. Al-Amin, the trustworthy. And yet he claimed now that he is a prophet, like Abraham, alayhi salam, and Moses, alayhi salam. How can we tell whether he is indeed a prophet? So they sent a delegation to the northern city of Yathrib, which is now called Medina, to ask the rabbis, the Jewish rabbis. So the rabbis responded and said, ask him these 3 questions, which only a prophet can answer, not even government of Malaysia can answer. Only a prophet. Question 1. Ask him about the young man and the cave. Number 2, ask him about the great traveler who traveled to the 2 ends of the earth. And question 3, ask him about the roof. I have analyzed these questions in a book entitled Suratul Kahf al-Holaday, but unfortunately we don't have it tonight. But if you read that book, you will read my analysis of all the 3 questions. The answers came down, and the answer to question 3 was put to that Allah. The answer to question 3 about the roof was put in Surah Bani Israel. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّكَ وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. But the answers to questions 1 and 2 were put in Surah Al-Kahf. After these answers came down, come on, Rabbi, what happened? We don't hear you. You said only a prophet can answer. And now here is the answer. Why is the Rabbi so silent? For 1400 years the rabbis have been silent. Huh? So anytime I meet a rabbi, I ask him, come on, Rabbi, here are the answers. You said only a prophet can answer. Here are the answers. Are they true or are they false? Rabbi doesn't talk. 1400 years now we've been waiting. Rabbi doesn't talk. We're concerned with great traveler. And the Quran responds with a name. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ. And they question thee about Dhul Qarnayn. Qarn means a horn, but Qarn also means an age. Which one? Is Dhul Qarnayn someone who possesses two horns? Or is Dhul Qarnayn someone who impacts on two ages? When we search the Quran to see how has Allah used the word qarn, we find that He always used the word qarn in the Quran to mean age and not horn. So we say, well, maybe Dhul Qarnayn is someone who impacts on two ages. But if you say two horns, then you have the right to do so. No need for any boxing gloves. We say two ages. Dhul Qarnayn is someone who possesses faith in Allah. Amen. And Allah gave to Dhul Qarnayn power. The power to do anything he wanted to do. That is only a superpower. So we have to call Dhul Qarnayn superpower. Superpower. Only superpower can do that. Malaysia can't do that. Superpower. So this is power. And this power rests on the foundations of faith. Notice that I am teaching this subject slowly. You know why? Because you got to go and teach it. That's why. You're not sitting down here just enjoying the lecture. You have to go and teach this subject now. That's why I'm going so slowly. Power rests on the foundations of faith. Surah Al-Kahf now tells us, when power rests on the foundations of faith, how is power used? This is the first age, and then we go to the second age, Qarnayn. Dhul Qarnayn travels in the direction of the setting of the sun, which means west. And then he travels second journey in the direction of the rising of the sun, which means east. And then he travels on a third journey. But the rabbis did not saw it. But Allah knew that is what they wanted to know. Whether Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam knew about the third journey. But they only asked about the two. But Allah answered and gave them the third. And we know that the third journey was in the northern direction. How do we know that? Answer. The hadith tells us, Sahih Muslim, that when Gog and Magog are released, and this is the third journey, because in the third journey he comes to Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog will pass by the Sea of Galilee and drink the water. And by the time the last of them pass, they will say, there used to be water here. But when they pass the Sea of Galilee, where are they going? Answer, Hadith tells us, Jerusalem. So, In order to pass the Sea of Galilee to go to Jerusalem, you got to come from the north. You got to come from the north. So we're looking at a geographical territory north of the Holy Land. North of the Holy Land. Good. So he traveled to the setting of the sun. And then he came across a body of dark, murky water. The water is dark and murky because there's a lot of algae in the water. North of the Holy Land and to the west, there are only two bodies of water. You did study geography at school, didn't you? Huh? One is the Mediterranean Sea, but the water in the Mediterranean Sea is clear. And you can see several meters down. There is only one more body of water, north of the Holy Land to the west. And it is called the Black Sea. It is called the Black Sea. Why? Because it is dark, murky, lots of algae. You can't see more than maybe 1 meter. The commentator of the Quran, Ibn Kathir, identifies the Black Sea to be the sea the Zulkarnain reached. So we're making progress now, aren't we? Geographical precision here. So when he reached to the Black Sea, he came across a people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, how are you going to treat them? When power rests on the foundations of faith, how is power used with mankind? Zulkarnain replies and he says, whosoever is an oppressor who commits a zulm, I will punish him. So when power rests on the foundations of faith, power is used to punish the oppressor. And when he returns to you, you will also punish him, said Zulkarnain. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has zero tolerance for oppression. You could be in the masjid 5 times a day. You could fast all of Ramadan. You could be performing your salat al-tahajjud. But if you are oppressing people, Allah will destroy you. In Singapore, an Indonesian maid works for 300 Singapore dollars a month. She's my daughter, my sister. No Singaporean woman would work and do the work that the Indonesian maid is doing. No Singaporean woman will do it for $300 a month. This qualifies as oppression. And once there is oppression, Allah will destroy you. So when Singapore is destroyed, goodbye. We won't miss you. Now it's for you to check out to see where else there is oppression. Allah says in the Quran about oppression, and it is again in Surah Al-Isra, Listen. Because around the world today there is oppression. In every city in the world today there is oppression. Even while the city is bigger, when last did you go KLCC? The city is bigger, don't they? But there is oppression. So Allah says, وَإِن مِّن قَرْيَةٍ إلا نحن مهلكوها قبل يوم القيامة أو معذبوها عذابا شديدا كان ذلك في الكتاب مسطورا. Not a single city will escape. This is not Imran Hosein. No. This is Allah. Not a single city will escape. We are going to destroy them all. All. And those which escape destruction, we will punish with terrible punishment. And this is something inscribed in the Kitab. I want to share with you my view, because I have been in the field of Islamic eschatology for a long time now, while they were drinking Kitari. My view is that destruction of all the cities is probably not more than 20-25 years away from now. And so there's going to be very few people on the earth in another 20-25 years from now. This is my view, and Allah knows that. So I will punish them. And when they return to you, you will punish them. For those who have faith and whose conduct is righteous, I will treat them nicely and they will be rewarded. So when power rests on the foundations of faith, this is the kind of world that mankind will have if only you follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then he traveled in the opposite direction, leaving the Black Sea and going east. If you leave the Black Sea and you go east, you're going to have to stop when you reach the water. Can't go any further, because there's another sea, and it's called Caspian. Oh, you did geography, okay. The Caspian Sea. The Caspian Sea. And then he came across a people. Now we have a problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses agonizingly few words. Very, very, very few words. And how to understand it? Just few words. لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا. No sitting, no covering did we provide for them other than this. No covering did we provide for these people other than this. Could it be that these are a people who are living a primitive way of life, and only the natural covering that Allah provides, only that they have? Could it be? Allah knows best. Zulkarnain now has to decide how is he going to treat such a people. And can you believe this? That the answer in the Quran is in one word? Only one word. كَذَلِكَ. كَذَلِكَ, and that's it. How are we going to penetrate this subject with one word? كَذَلِكَ. Could it be that he decided, Zulkarnain, because of his compassion, because of his wisdom, he decided to leave them as they were. وَقَدْ أَحَطْنَا بِمَا لَدَيْهِ خُبْرًا. And Allah says, we understood why he acted in this way. So when power rests on the foundations of faith, power will respect the primitive way of life. I think we're making progress now. Then Zulkarnain traveled in the third direction, and we recognize it to be north now. But between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, there is an unbroken range of mountains. What are they called? The Caucasus Mountains. Do you know geography? Caucasus Mountains. And there's something strange and mysterious about the Caucasus region, because the white European always refers to him as Caucasian, white Caucasian male. Hey, when you born in Boston, man, how come you're Caucasian? Huh? Why are you calling yourself Caucasian for? Something mysterious going on here. The link with Caucasus. Does it have to do with Gog and Magog? So he now travels north and comes across a people لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. The Quran is giving you hint after hint. It's up to you to pick it up. He comes across a people whose language could not be understood. Meaning that this language is not connected with all the other languages in the region. You start from South India and you go up, and you see that their languages are connected with each other as you go up. Some words are the same, but they're different languages. But this one is a unique language, different from all the other languages in the region. لا يكادون يفقهون قولا, could not be understood. Is there such a language in that region? Yes, there is. And up to this day it has been preserved. It is the Georgian language. The Georgian language is different from all the regional languages. So we are making progress in this lecture. When he came across these people whose language could not be understood, they were located at a pass in the mountain range. There was only one pass in this unbroken mountain range from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea, and this is where they were passed. When they were able to communicate, I don't know how long it took. I know how long it would take me to learn Bahasa. So when they were able to communicate, then these people informed the Zulkarnain, إِنَّ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ مُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. The Gog and Magog are perpetrating fasad. There are acts that we commit which are called sins. And sins are punished up there. But there are other acts that we commit which are not just sins, they are also called crimes. A criminal act is punished here. And among the crimes that we can commit, the biggest one of all is fasad. And the punishment for fasad is the severest one of all. There are grades of fasad, the Quran tells us. And at the lowest level, we punish you by banishment. Out, you can never come back, banishment. But there are other grades of fasad, and at the highest level you will be, your hand and your foot will be cut off from opposite sides. Did you hear that? Huh? Did you hear that? The hand and the foot will be cut off from opposite sides. And then you'll be crucified. That's in the Quran. This is the punishment for fasad. So these people, Gog and Magog, oh my gosh, they're terrible. They commit the worst crimes possible. Fasad fell out. So these people appealed to Zulkarnain. Can you help us? We are prepared to pay you, not in ringgits of course, gold and silver, right? We are prepared to pay you. Can you build a barrier between these, in this pass, Sad is a barrier, Sad. Zulkarnain now responds very strangely. If Allah has given to him the power to do whatever he wants to do, then why does he not go in there and beat them up? Give them the lesson of their life, so they'll never again do what they're doing. Huh? So he should say, listen, I don't need to build any barrier. Why do you need a barrier? I'm here, I'm Zulkarnain. But strangely, he agrees to build the barrier, indicating that he does not have the power to destroy them. These are more powerful than any superpower that you could find. In Sahih Muslim, there is a hadith al-Qudsi in which Allah says, I have created creatures of mine, Gog and Magog, who are so powerful that none but I can destroy them. So there is no power on earth, including a fellow called Osama bin Laden in some cave in Afghanistan. No power in the world who can defeat and destroy Gog and Magog. Only Allah can do it. He says, I don't need your money. As Sulaiman alayhi salam said the same thing when the queen of Salah sent the gifts. I don't need your money. What Allah has given to you is more valuable than that. But help me with manpower. Bring me Zubarul Hadid. Hadid is not a Syrian fellow with a shop in the city. Hadid is iron. Iron. Bring me Zubarul Hadid. Bring me blocks of iron. فَلَمَّا سَاوَ بَيْنَ الصَّدَفَيْنِ Oh, another hint now. You see the hints are coming there one after the other, but you've got to pick them up. The Quran changes the language. It doesn't speak of sun anymore. It now speaks of Sadafain. Sadafain means the two sides of a shell. If you open a shell, it is joined at the bottom. And you open like this. So the pass in the mountain is shaped like this. It's still there to this day. You don't even have to buy a ticket to travel to find it. Just Google the search engine on the internet and you find it. It's called the Dariel Gorge. And it is shaped like this. Salafain. So he takes blocks of iron and he fills it up between the Salafain, which means that there must be iron ore deposits in that region. And yes, there is iron ore deposit up to this day in that region. So we're making progress with this lecture, aren't we? Then he said, blow with your bellows, making a furnace, and bring me molten copper, which he poured upon the blocks of iron. And the engineers tell me this is to prevent rust. And so now the barrier is built. And Magog and Magog are now north of the barrier. The rudder built by Zulkarnain. Then Zulkarnain spoke and he says, now they can neither pierce it nor they can do. Oh wait, so they are blocked. Zulkarnain now speaks. And you'll have to tell me how a Greek emperor who worshipped Mars and Venus and gods and goddesses, a fellow named Alexander, you'll have to tell me how he could speak these words. Okay? If you accept that nonsense, that Zulkarnain was Alexander. Listen to what Zulkarnain says. It is in Surah Al-Kahf. هذا رحمة من ربي. This barrier is constructed as an act of mercy from Allah, from my Lord. So he worships Allah, not some Greek goddess. But now he says something more, which Tom, Dick and Harry doesn't know. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي. And when that time comes of which my Lord has come, جَعَلَهُ دَكَّا. Allah is going to bring down this barrier. This is eschatology. I don't think Zulkarnain did that study at university. Alexander. I don't think Alexander studied eschatology. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي. And when that time comes of which my Lord has gone, جَعَلَهُ دَكَّا. Allah is going to bring down the barrier. وَكَانَ وَعْدَ رَبِّ حَقًّا. And then the warning of my Lord will be fulfilled. So God and Magog are now contained by the barrier. But one day, the barrier will go down. And when it goes down, what's going to happen? They'll be released. They have power. Their power is greater than Zulkarnain, so this is super power. But this power rests on foundations which are godless. Because an oppressor who has a PhD in oppression, constantly oppressing, cannot have faith in Allah. And this power, which rests on foundations which are godless, would be the supreme power in the world. Are you beginning to see? Are you beginning to recognize the reality of the world today? They don't teach this at university, So when Allah brings down the barrier, what kind of world will it be? It will be a world in which these people would possess supreme power, and they will sweep away everything before them. Every civilization before them will be swept away. And they will take control of the world. They will rule the world. But their rule will be on foundations which will be badness, and they will use power to oppress. Are you beginning to understand the world which you live in now? You had no knowledge of this before the Quran, did you? Did I not say only the Quran can explain the world today? Did I not say? Here is the Quran. One people will rule the world when Allah brings down that barrier. And when they rule the world, there will be no power in the world which can rival them or challenge them, including Osama bin Laden. Their power will be invincible. Invincible. Only Allah can destroy them. But these are going to be agents of fasad. They will use their power to oppress. They will use their power to corrupt. They will use their power to destroy. And so anywhere you turn in the world, it's only oppression. Anywhere you turn in the world, everything is being corrupted. Those who have eyes with which to see will recognize that this is the worst possible world. We'll stop there for the other time. One day Allah will bring down the barrier. And when He brings it down, then Magog and Magog are going to be released. And when they are released, there's going to be fasad all over the world. Everything will be corrupted, destroyed, including money. Including money. It is not by accident that the money which is in the Quran and the money which is in the Sunnah, the gold dinar and the silver dirham, has disappeared. No. The reason why it has disappeared and has been replaced by this bogus and fraudulent and utterly haram paper currency, the reason for this is located there, in Magog and Magog. Will Allah be impressed with you? I ask you. If you devote yourself to an effort to restore the gold dinar and silver dirham, and that is something commendable, will Allah be impressed with you when you pursue this effort without any understanding of how did the gold dinar and silver dirham disappear? Who is it who caused it to disappear? And why did they cause it to disappear? No. Allah is not impressed by such a servant. And when a servant of Allah comes to you, traveling from Trinidad to Caracas, Caracas to Buenos Aires to Cape Town to KL, leaving my home, leaving the comforts of my home, at an age when I'm knocking on the door of 70, to come to you to teach you that which you do not know, because nobody is teaching Islamic eschatology. Will you not listen? Will you not take heed? Will you not change? Will you not make an effort? Will you not now make an effort to understand the subject of Islamic eschatology? to understand the subject of Gog and Magog, so you'll understand why the Sunnah money disappeared and why did this corrupt monetary system come. All I can do before I leave is to urge you to turn around and move this way to the Quran. Then Zulkarnain traveled to the opposite direction, and there he came across a people. لَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُمْ مِنْ دُونِهَا سِتْرًا. So when power rested on the foundations of faith, power respected the primitive way of life. Suppose these people living by the Caspian Sea, suppose you were to discover something called, you heard about it, oil, O-I-L. Suppose, I'm just suggesting, suppose you would discover a huge basin of oil in the Caspian Sea. Did it happen? It happened. The Caspian Sea has a huge basin of oil, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Saudi Arabia. How will power be used? In the first age, كذلك Zulkarnain had the compassion, the integrity to leave them as they were, because the human being is more important than the economic resources. Human values come first, and everything else comes after. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have honored the progeny of Adam alayhi salam. But now, when Gog and Magog are released, how will they treat a people who live a primitive way of life? Go ask them in North America. What did they do to the American Indians? These people who say that we have brought to the world the most advanced civilization that mankind has ever experienced. Because they measure progress by the height of the building. And they measure progress by, I don't know whether you've heard about it. It is something small like this, and you can press, and no matter where you are, you can talk with your family at home. About cell phone, have you heard about it? And you measure progress by the, you don't need a donkey cart anymore, you don't need a horse anymore, you need a BMW. This is progress. وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. This is the yardstick that they use to measure progress. So now, power rests on the foundations that are godless, and this power is used to destroy the primitive way of life. So now the American Indian is part of the blue jeans Jamaat. Yeah. The American Indian loses his language, loses his way of life, and he has the same hypertension and the same heart disease and the same prostate and, the whole works, like everybody else. He's also just as overweight as all the rest, because he's lost his way of life and he's not following it. They've destroyed the primitive way of life. And when there's oil, they ship you out, throw you somewhere else, so that they can destroy your resources. What a terrible world it is when God and Magog will be released. And so now we've understood Gog 9, the two ages. The age in which power rests on the foundations of faith, and the age in which power rests on foundations that are godless. In this one, power is used to punish the oppressor. In this one, power is used to oppress. The Quran is teaching you the world today? When will Allah bring down the barrier? Before we proceed, a lesson in methodology. A lesson in methodology. I'm afraid I'm going to take a little more time tonight, if you don't mind. At the beginning of the Quran, Allah teaches a lesson in methodology. He gave an order to the angels to bow down before Adam alayhi salam. فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسِ. And they all bowed down, they all prostrated except Iblis. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not deficient in the use of language. The sentence is constructed like this deliberately to teach methodology. And it is being taught at the beginning. So you don't have an excuse. If you study this verse of the Quran by itself, using a wrong methodology, just by itself, then, since the order was given to the angels, and they all prostrated except Iblis, Iblis has to be an angel. You can't get away from that. You cannot get away from that. Iblis has to be an angel. If you use this wrong methodology of taking one verse in isolation, or taking one hadith in isolation. But when you use the correct methodology, and you go to the totality of the Quran, then you say, hey, wait a minute, looks like I made a mistake here. Because here Allah is saying about the angels, they don't have any free will. No. They have to do what they are ordered to do. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. So when a command is given to an angel, the angel must obey. But he disobeyed. So he can't be an angel. Looks as though I made a mistake. Now your face is becoming red. Because you said Iblis has to be an angel. Right? Using the wrong methodology. And then when you go to Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran, Allah says, وَكَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. This is the Quran teaching methodology. Do not make the mistake of taking one hadith in isolation and ignoring all the body of data in the Quran and in the rest of the hadith. Don't do that. Do not make the mistake of taking one verse of the Quran in isolation. Don't take Jews and Christians as your friends and allies. They are friends and allies of each other. This is wrong. This is wrong. When you take the totality of the data, then you get a different picture. Do not take such Jews and such Christians as your friends and allies, بَعْدُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ, who themselves are friends and allies of each other. So the Quran is anticipating the emergence of a Jewish-Christian alliance. When that Jewish-Christian alliance emerges, do not, somebody should have told us to Husni Mubarak. Do not be their friends and allies. No sense talking to the Saudi, they don't listen. They don't listen. So now that we have learned this lesson in methodology, when is Allah going to bring down the barrier? Is it still standing up to your house? If it is, what are you doing here in PJ? Why don't you go to search for it? Huh? If you say the barrier is still standing, don't you have any love for the Quran? A barrier which is located in the Quran, it is still standing. Does your heart not long to go and see it, to go and touch it? Built by Zulkarnain? What kind of people are you? Huh? Nobody goes to search for it. And yet you're going to tell me it is still standing. Well, if you don't want to go and do a Google search now. Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is asleep at the home of his wife Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha. This is Medina. And in his sleep he sees something. It's called a vision, ru'ya. It is terrible. Terrible. He wakes up from his sleep and his face is flushed red. What did he see? He says, وَيْلٌ لِلْعَرَبِ مِنْ شَرٍّ قَدِ اقْتَرَبَ. Woe unto the Arabs because of a great evil which is now going to come upon them, which is close. Qareeb. And then he raised his hands like this and he made a circle. He said, today a hole has been made in the, he used the word, radar, which is like a dam of Zulkarnain, indicating that the destruction of the barrier had commenced, indicating that the release of God and Magog had commenced. This hadith is located in Sahih Bukhari, I think about 8 times. In this book, you'll find an entire chapter. On Dajjal, you'll find an entire chapter on God and Magog. And all the hadiths are here. In this book, we've done the whole works on only God and Magog. You find all the hadiths there. And so the release of Gog and Magog has now commenced. But why? وَيْلٌ لِلْعَرَبِ. It should be وَيْلٌ لِلنَّاسِ, all of mankind. Woe unto mankind. He didn't say woe unto mankind. He said woe unto the Arabs. Meaning, when Gog and Magog are released, they have a special target. Their special target is the Arabs. Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha then asked, will we be destroyed? Al-Nuhlika. Will we be destroyed, meaning the Arabs, when there are amongst us those who are righteous in conduct? That's the question. To which he replied, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and he said, Na'am, the Arabs are going to be destroyed. When? إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبَثِ. When khabas, nastiness, pornography, when khabas prevails in the world, that is the sign that the time has come for the destruction of the Arabs. That destruction is around the corner. They're going to wage biological war because the Prophet prophesied. He said the Arabs are going to be wiped out by plague. So biological war. And there's also more than that, big wars that Israel has to wage around the corner. And so now we know that the release of Gog and Magog took place in the lifetime of the Prophet. Well then, who are they? Who are they? They are located north of the Caucasus Mountains. North. So we have to look north of the Caucasus Mountains for a people. who display extraordinary power. But who, in addition to having power, use power wickedly. And thirdly, we're heading in that direction. They have an obsession for the Holy Land. Everything they do is connected with Jerusalem. Who are Gog and Magog? بَعَدُوهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. Allah says, بَعَدُوهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. Do not take such Jews and such Christians as your friends and allies, who themselves are friends and allies of each other. The Jews and Christians were never friends and allies. The Christians accuse the Jews of the ultimate crime of killing God himself. You can't do worse than that. So Christians and Jews were always enemies, hostile. But the Quran is telling us that the time will come when there will be a reconciliation. When that reconciliation takes place and that Jewish-Christian alliance emerges, if you become their friend and ally, you belong to them. You no longer belong to them. وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُمْ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And they will be a people who commit zulm. This is their trademark. What is the glue that was used to bind these two people? The European Jew and the European Christian came together. And don't tell me the Vatican is more than the Vatican. Answer? Something called Zionism. Something called Zionism. So it's actually a Judeo-Christian Zionist alliance. And it has an obsession with the Holy Land. It has an obsession with the Holy Land, yes, Zionism. Okay? Where did the Zionists come from? But part of Europe, Caucasus, the Caucasian area. When we go north to trace back the Zionists, where did he come from? We find a tribe of people called the Khazar, or the Khazar, K-H-A-Z-A-R, who had this power that the Muslim army could not defeat them. Even when the Muslim army was the superpower of the world, they blocked the entrance to Europe. So Islam could not penetrate Europe. And the Khazar converted to Judaism. There's your Zionism. There's your Zionism. The Khazar tribe converted and became Jews. But they are not a Semitic people. The Arabs are Semitic. Europeans are not Semitic, no matter how much cosmetics they use. So the world now experiences for the first time in history something very strange, a European Jew. The Khazar, when they became Jews, didn't stop there. They have a habit of changing. So some of them became Christians. And some of them became Muslims as well. So you have Khazar as Christians and you have Khazar as Jews. It is now established fact that those who control power in Russia are Khazar. Although Russia tried, while it was the Soviet Union, they tried as best as they could to conceal this fact. Joseph Stalin was Georgian. His statue is there in Tbilisi. Russia today is Khazar. And if you read Henry Ford, ever heard of him? The Ford Motor Car? Henry Ford produced a book called The International Jew. And it was published here in KL. I don't want to mention the name of the publisher. It was published here in KL. So we got all 4 volumes right here in KL. Because I gave the book to him and I asked him to publish it. And he published it. Now he's done. Henry Ford did the research. The Khazar came over to the United States. And then infiltrated into the United States. And they have taken power, taken control of power in the United States, the Khazar. So we locate God and Magog in the Zionist Judeo-Christian alliance, who have their origins hundreds of thousands, hundreds of years ago in the Khazar tribe. What is going to be the end of God and Magog? The Prophet said that when Gog and Magog were released, the first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. If you choose to understand this literally, then you will have to go by the Sea of Galilee and wait with your camera and digital to see people passing by drinking the water. Okay? This is the difference between Islamic scholarship and pseudo-scholarship. The Prophet said that Dajjal will ride on a donkey, and the donkey will travel as fast as the clouds. And the donkey will have his hair stretched out wide. So if you're waiting for someone who's going to stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am the Messiah, and he's going to have this flying donkey, you're entitled to your view. There's no need for any boxing match. No need. But we have a different kind of Islamic scholarship. Ours is different. In our Islamic scholarship, we recognize this to be religious symbolism. And so we say the flying donkey is already here. In fact, there's one flying donkey out there that you can actually perform your salah and tell you which is the direction of Qibla. Malaysia. And so we say, when the first of them are released, they'll pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. We understand that to mean consuming the water. Like, for example, this foolishness. I mean, it's really foolishness. We're going to make the desert green. Allah will be in the middle of the desert, you know. We're going to make the desert green. To make the desert green, you're going to have to take all the water in the Sea of Galilee, isn't it? And by the time the last of them pass, they will say there used to be water there. So the hadith has given us an index, or a yardstick, by which we can measure the passage of Gog and Magog. When you see the water level in the Sea of Galilee has reached such a level where the sea is essentially dead, can never be revived, you know that the bulk of Gog and Magog have already passed, and only few now left to pass. So now we've got to go and take a look at the water level in the Sea of Galilee. I have a student in Haifa, in the Holy Land. He's been writing to me now for some time, but I saw him for the first time when we had the International Islamic Retreat in Cape Town before I came here. And he traveled from Haifa to attend the retreat. So I met my student for the first time. And he is constantly monitoring the water level of the Sea of Galilee and constantly informing. The Sea of Galilee long ago has reached the point of no return. It can never be revived. It's waiting to dry up now. So we are now faced with intangible, irrefutable evidence that Gog and Magog have been passing for some time now, and we are close to the end. What is the end? We go back now to Surah Al-Kahf, where Allah says, وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْدَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ. I think this qualifies as the most difficult verse in the whole Quran. وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْدَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَجَمَعْنَاهُمْ جَمَعًا. I'm only interpreting the verse, so Allah knows best. And I am disappointed when people accept my views just because they come from me. That's a disappointment. You should not accept anything I gave as my opinion unless you are convinced that it is correct. Now you are a good student. I used to tell my teacher, Maulana Abdul Rahman Ansari, if I am sitting here teaching this subject, that no one else will be able to teach because of it. But he trained me this way. I never accepted anything my teacher taught me, never. I used to go to him and say to him, Maulana, I don't agree with you. At the age of 22. But then 3 or 4 months later, I'll go to him and say, Maulana, now I agree with you. Because I had to be convinced that it was correct before I accepted it. If only the world of Islamic scholarship could wake up and become critical in your thinking, people will show more respect for the Ustad when they see a man who is critical in his thinking. وَتَرَكَّ بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ could mean that we'll cause them to merge with each other like waves. Merge with each other like waves. The way waves in the sea merge with each other. And as you constantly merge with each other, it's called globalization. And so eventually one global society emerges. I call it the blue jeans demand. One global society emerges. It matters not whether they are Jew or Christian or Hindu or Muslim or Buddhist. They are all living essentially the same way of life. And it's the way of life of God and God. That is one of the meanings. But there is a second possible meaning. وَتَرَكَّ بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ. That there are waves which will crash against each other. And when a wave crashes against another wave, you can see the white foam. These are not waves coming together and merging. These are waves coming against each other. If two powerful waves come to crash against each other, you better run. Don't remain there. You're going to be split. You're going to be destroyed. Two powerful waves crashing against each other. For example, when Pharaoh attempted to cross, then Allah caused the water to stand, and there's a passage way. So you have a mountain of water on this side, and a mountain of water on that side. But when Pharaoh attempted to cross, Allah caused the water to come down. So water from this side crashing against water from that side. Could anybody survive? Nobody survived. This is the Yamuju Riba as well. So from this, we get the possibility that there is going to be a clash of God against Magog. That is how this book ends. That the Russian alliance, with which China is going to be a part, will eventually clash and crash against the American-led alliance. The American-led alliance, the Anglo-American-Israeli alliance with NATO, have a pig-headed obsession to rule the world. But Russia will not bend its knee, and China will not bend its knee. The Saudis not only bend the knee, they're down on their face. They're down on their face, the Saudis. But Russia will not bend its knee, and China will not bend its knee. So we are moving, this is why they're encircling Russia with their nuclear missiles, encircling Russia, because you're moving towards the showdown. And when that clash takes place, which is probably 20-25 years from now, when that crash takes place between God and Magog, that's the smoke. Dukhan. Who will survive that? The cities won't survive. Why will the cities all be destroyed? Is there something to do with radiation from nuclear weapons? And that radiation facilitates the travel of that radiation when you're in an area inundated with cell phones. So wherever you could use a cell phone, you know when that takes place, they'll all be made into sunny side up eggs. So the safest place for you, if you are interested in surviving, not everybody is interested in surviving, but if you are interested in surviving, the safest place to be is a place where you can't use a cell phone. And that is the Muslim village, the project of the Muslim village. A location in the remote countryside. But you don't have to follow us in the village. No. If you're comfortable in the city and you don't mind becoming a sunny side up Friday, when that clash takes place, by all means you can stay in the city. No need for any boxing club. Imran Hosein is not a terrorist. He's not doing sedition and so on. He's just saying maybe 1 in 1,000 might want to save themselves. 1 in 1,000 would want to get off the ship. 1 in 1,000 I want to go to the remote countryside where rain falls, take them, sheep and goats, to survive the clash of God and God. When the Dajjal has completed his mission, and of course the Dajjal would not have completed his mission until Israel replaces the United States as the ruling state of the world. And Israel would not have become the ruling state of the world until Israel has also expanded her territory from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. All of these things are still remaining to occur. When Israel has ruled the world for a day which is like a week, a day which is like a week, there you are, a day like a year, a day like a month, a day like a week. The hadith of Sahih Muslim. Then the Dajjal is going to stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am the Messiah. Maybe 25-30 years from now. It is only at that time that Imam al-Mahdi will emerge. Only at that time that Nabi Isa alayhi salam will return, not before. And Nabi Isa alayhi salam will now kill the Dajjal. And the hadith says, Sahih Muslim, فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ. Allah will now send God and Magog. He didn't say release. No. Allah will now send God and Magog. And they will pursue Nabi Isa alayhi salam and the believers who will now climb up a mountain in Bayt al-Maqdis. And they will say, we have killed all those who are on the earth. Now let us kill those who are in the heavens above. And they'll shoot their arrows up into the sky, missiles. So there must be military platforms up there, spaceships. And Allah will cause the arrows to come back down with blood on them. Don't ask me to explain that. And then comes the destruction of God and Magog by Allah. Through something which attacks them at the back of the neck, the top of the spine. Maybe a bacteria or something. And they will all fall down paralyzed. And next morning they will all be dead. And then Allah will send, Nabi Isa will pray for Allah. And Allah will send prehistoric birds with necks like camels and pick up these bodies and have them thrown where Allah will have them thrown. The Quran now speaks. Over there is وَفَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ. Remember the word وَفَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ. That is the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. And so many people take this solitary hadith, only one, ignoring all the rest of the data, and read and misinterpret this hadith to say Allah will now release God. And so the world of Islamic scholarship is waiting for Nabi Isa to return. And only after he returns, and after he has killed the dajjal, only then will Gog and Magog be released. Because of his misunderstanding of one solitary hadith. No. Allah doesn't use ba'atha for release. Now let me take you to one verse of the Quran and we finish. It is in Surah Al-Anbiya. And here we have the word release. Allah speaks of a town. He destroyed that town. He expelled the people of the town. And then he placed a ban on them that they could never return to this town to reclaim it as their own. Never. They can come back as tourists, but they cannot come back to reclaim it as their own. Until when? Listen. وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ حتى, listen to the words, حتى إذا فتحت يأجوج ومأجوج وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. This book was built on that verse of the Quran, Surah Al-Aleemiyah. The town, obviously, is Jerusalem. And Allah is saying that Jerusalem has been destroyed. Banu Israel have been expelled. For 2,000 years they could never return. Never. But number one, they will come back when two things must happen. Number one, when Gog and Magog are released, and they will do, they spread out in all directions, so that with their invincible power they take control of the world. When that happens, then you see Banu Israel being brought back to the world.